We will turn our attention now to the school fees controversy in the Lagos State University. Well, yes, we did start focus on some part of that yesterday. We continue that today. We're joined now by Dr. Adekunle Idris, who is the chairman of the Academic Staff Union of Universities LASU chapter. Morning, and thank you for coming on this morning, sir.
Good morning.
What is interesting in this controversy, we understand, is ASUU on strike as well in LASU?
Yes, ASUU LASU is on strike.
Why?
For three reasons. We're on strike for three reasons. The first is the LASU school fees, the exorbitant LASU school fees. The second is the issue of no vacancy, no promotion, a policy that was just introduced into the university. The third is the implementation of the Universities Miscellaneous Provision Act, amongst others. But these are the three core issues that led to the current strike action.
Let's start off with the first one, the LASU fees. You say they're exorbitant. It's not often that we hear that ASUU is going to strike because of school fees. Why now?
Well, in this case, the new school fees was introduced about 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago to be precise. And when that fee was introduced, we felt it was too expensive. But we also felt, let's leave it, let's see the policy of government work for some time before you begin to complain. We complain in-house, but having seen that policy operate for some time and seeing the result, the outcome of such a policy, it becomes clear that we cannot fold our arms any further. We've got to speak out to the public.
Whose responsibility is it to increase the school fees?
We believe the governing council, in a properly run system, the governing council.
Who did this one?
We're told the government, from what we're told it was done by the government. And when it was done, we are also told that the governing council was consulted. But that's not within our purview.
So are you in strike? Are you channeling your questions to the governing council or to the state government?
Our employer is the governing council, as far as we're concerned. However, who constitutes the governing council? The governing council is the governor in council. The governor picks those that are on the governing council to run the system for him. So we direct our efforts to the governing council. But we dialogue with whoever is interested in dialoguing with us.
Why wait 3 years after?
When you have a policy, ours is to teach, conduct research, and do community service. We're employees. The management runs the system. They bring out a policy. The best you can do is to advise government. Now, what the policy work for some time, and then you can, as it's going on, begin to give you advice. But when it's not taken, then it becomes a union matter, because we now can see that it's affecting the totality of the system entirely.
How is it affecting? Because, I mean, a lot of people will say that since when the lecturers begin to complain about how much the school fees of children are, I mean, that, or even let me say teachers complain about the school fees that the children pay, unless, of course, you are affected in one way or the other. Really, what is the local standard of ASUU in this matter?
I prepared a file for you there so that you can follow as I look at these things. And I hope you have the time to just flip through as I go through. Now, ASUU is a union, and we see ourselves as the conscience of the nation. We cannot say that the school fees will not affect us. What you have there is a list of letters written to the governing council over time, because you always have the complaint that why would ASUU want to go on strike all the time? We've had this from the public for a very long time. But we have a process we have to go through. You relate with the union, with the governing council, and we have written 12 letters to the governing council over different matters that resulted into this strike action. And until the 12th one, there was no response.
Pardon me, which one talks about the fees here?
Those letters talk about different things. Different things. We started from about 20 items. And then we felt that the core issues that affect the system are those three, though the others have not been done.
Okay, because I don't see anyone that talks about fees. That's why I'm asking.
No, you will not find that there. You will not find that there because
Okay.
these are written to the governing council. We also have those to the university separately.
But would it have been out of place if you had written about the fees to the governing council?
No, we had some discussions, and in the course of the discussions, those were discussed in the course of the discussions. So you will not have it as a specific item right there because they are lumped within different issues that were discussed with the governing council.
So
over time.
you've written letters. There was no response, but there have been discussions.
Oh, sure.
So
We
it's
did some
not like
discussions after the 11th letter.
there
on
was
this
discussion after the 11th letter. So
Yes.
that was some response of sorts, right?
After 11 letters from last year, April, to this year, May, that's quite some time.
The
One
impression you
full
gave,
year.
or the impression you give, is that you've written 12 letters, you've had no response whatsoever. So in other words,
at the 12th letter, we got a response.
there's been no meeting, but now you say after
No,
the
they've been meetings.
after
They've
the
been
11th letter, you had a discussion or discussions.
No, don't let's get it wrong here now. As a union, when we write, we expect you to reply, irrespective of whatever you discuss. Because we've had situations where you discuss, you even sign agreements, and these agreements, you were told that you had no agreement at all. Therefore, whatever you don't document, you just judge over it. We don't reckon with them because you can always deny. And that's what we're having right now. I'll come back to your question. You raised the question, why would lecturers be talking about school fees when we are not the one paying directly? First and foremost, we believe that we are the conscience of the nation. When we went on a struggle last year with the federal government, these issues were raised. How does it concern state universities and all that? We believe we are the conscience of the nation, and we should help at any point in time to draw the attention of those in government to do what they ought to be doing all the time. Secondly, we believe the government has a social responsibility to provide education for its citizens. Thirdly, we also believe that education, if you look at the LASU law, one of the objectives stated that education will be made available to all citizens of Lagos State, irrespective of their income background. And with the current school fees regime we have, between 350 and 197,000 naira, only very few people can afford such school fees.
You say that you had you had advised on this matter previously.
That's right.
What was the advice? Was there any ceiling in terms of pegging it at a particular fee?
No, as at that time, there was no ceiling pegged at that time when it was being discussed. The system runs this way. You have the Senate, you have the heads of department, you have the faculties, you have the Senate, then you have the governing council, and so on. So at that level, different discussions were held. And figures were given by government as to the cost and all that. So we just said, look, let's allow it to run for some time and see the impact. But the impact right now is quite clear. You have your 129 universities, and we're competing with these 129 universities. Now, if you look at the school fees regime of the other universities, there's no way we can compete effectively with universities that are charging far lower. You have some figures there. We have Olabisi Onabanjo University, 106,000 naira. Uni Osun, 75,000 naira. Adekunle University, 105,000. Ladoke, 95. Delta State, 40,000. Taisho Larin, 70. Uniben, 50. Of course, we now come back to the federal universities. We do know they have more money, but we are competing within the same system, and therefore we cannot say because they are federal. Lagos State, University of Lagos, 40. Unijust, 39. And LASU, 198 to 348. We're simply pricing ourselves out of the market. Simply. And we
Are you
felt that
saying that the quality of lecturers or the quality of education that you provide in LASU will not be enough to attract students and make them pay that particular fee that the state government or the governing council or LASU, that I think that's the safest word to use, is asking incoming students to pay?
the issue is not simply the quality of the education you are given, no.
That's not the issue. The issue at stake here is you look at the facilities you also provide. The federal universities have the resources to provide better facilities, naturally. We all move around. We're in Unilag, UI, and so on, because of the federal might. So it's not a matter of the quality of the human resources, no. The facilities that are made available is what we are talking. When we started this issue, we also had the issue of internet facilities. We said you can't have in 2014 a system that has no internet facilities, and you're charging that much.